Hey everyone, I woke up in a mood this morning, so I'm currently a little bit at a loss at what to do with myself. And since I don't want to clean, I thought we could have a little bit of a chat, a life update, so to say. Because I'm a firm believer of sharing your struggles as a reminder that you're not the only one having these issues, because we are all not special snowflakes. And so let's sit down and have a look at how things are going. And let's move back or travel back to October. You may have heard me in October or seen me struggling. I don't know why, but I came back from vacation to my job and I did everything, but everything was just hard. I took care of maintenance tasks. I took care that I do things that I want to do, but overall, I just wasn't feeling happy. There was an underlying uncontent or discontent. There was no content in the general picture. The difficult part here is that the little things were good. I had happy moments. I had good fun times. I did things I wanted to do. I made progress on the things I wanted to make progress on. And overall, I had not a bad life or a bad time, but there was this feeling of uncontent. So Self-Improvement Wiebke arrived and took a look around, trying to figure out what to change, what to do, and find help in all the productivity and other YouTubers and books that I have access to and that I turn to for motivation to change and reset and do stuff and see what I can twist and turn or tweak a little bit to make things better. And the first thing I turned to was the tracking I do. So I looked at all the things that I track and the data that it tells me, or the information that the data gives me. And the first thing I noticed is that I spent way more time or a lot of time escaping than I intended or thought. Well, I knew I was watching a lot of series and I knew that I was coming back from work every evening, being exhausted to do other things than just watch series. And so I've been streaming a lot. But looking at the data basically said that I have been finishing a season of whatever approximately every 3 to 4 days all year. So most of the shows I'm watching only have one season. So you can imagine how many things I've watched. Numbers wise, it's about 80 to 90 shows, 100 movies, and I also finished 130 books so far. So there's been a lot of me time, which is not a bad thing. And that's the thing. It's things I like to do. But the amount of time that is spent on it started to worry me a little bit. And so naturally, I turned to a book. I went and listened to Dopamine Nation because it had the little subtitle of Finding Balance in an Age of Indulgence. And if you're interested in the book and you were thinking about getting it, I can recommend it. It's very easy to listen to. It's very bite-sized, so you can digest the information. It's very easily explained. You can easily follow all the concepts. Even though I forgot a lot about the details, what dopamine does in our body, what I found more interesting was the balance idea. And I learned a lot about compulsive overconsumption. And even though the author talked about a lot of examples with addictions, like drug addictions or sex addictions, and real problematic things in her practice and clients she worked with, but she also shared her own overconsumption of romance novels and how she fell into this reading more and getting sucked into this. And since reading was one of the things I've been doing a lot, I found that very helpful and interesting. Although I must say that I came away from the book thinking that I don't really have a problem. Can't say if she would agree, but since I wouldn't prioritize the reading or the watching series over other things, and I wouldn't neglect other things for that. And I don't know, how can you tell if something is problematic from your subjective perspective? But I don't have to do it. It's just something I want to do in a not unhealthy way, I think, at the moment. So that was interesting, but also it didn't really help me in a way of what to do now. Still enjoyed the book and the insights I gained. So the next thing I did was look around at what was making me unhappy. And part of that is actually the work situation right now. And there I always come back to that the 9 to 5 lifestyle is problematic for me because it has me falling into insomnia more often than I would like. And it has me working in the time of day or at the time spaces where I would be good at doing something for myself that is not just mindlessly consuming content. And that is something I'm not willing to change, I realized. I took this week, I have the week off, a little bit to reset and think and do stuff about all this. Partly it was cute because I have the week off, and partly because this YouTuber I started following a while ago just launched a 30-day reset challenge. And I thought maybe that'll give me the boost I need to declutter a little bit, think about what I want, and reevaluate where I am. And one part that I noticed is that the first thing you're supposed to do is to check what your social media and content consumption and things is, where you waste your time. And that's something where I noticed that is a problem that I'm having subjectively, that I don't really think I'm wasting my time on social media. I'm not all day on social media. I am rather intentional on when I consume things. It is still a lot, but the thing that threw me a little bit by reducing all that time in the challenge, the idea was that you free up time for other things. And there I got stuck, because what other things? Yes, I would love to spend more time with friends, but let's be honest, I can't force anyone to spend time with me and magically have time appear in their calendar to do so, even if they wanted to spend time with me. So that had me reconsider my idea of watching too many series, because on the one side, I really am curious about all the new series, and I'm really enjoying rewatching content that I like. Even though a lot of it is also for comfort reasons, that's not the only reason I'm sitting down and streaming series or watching movies. So the idea that I do less of that for something other was the question, what am I replacing it with? Will I just go and read more books, which kind of values reading more than watching series, and I don't want to value or put value on different hobbies, because they're different hobbies. And doesn't mean one is more valuable than the other. It's just different hobbies that are very similar because I'm consuming stories. So I've thought of another way, because the amount of time I spend after work on the couch watching series, that is something where I think it is a little bit too much to be considered really helping or good or uplifting in the I'm not content overall situation. So another thing that I was missing was sauna, and it's getting cold. We're steering into winter and it's dark, and I would like to have some warmth on a regular basis. I'm also thinking about what in the winter time when it really gets cold and I can't run outside. So I'd been thinking about joining a gym again. For the one part, to have access to a sauna and a treadmill when it's snowy and frozen outside. And on the other side, I thought about more socializing, because one side effect that the tracking tells me with how much time I have to watch series is exactly how much time I spend alone. And so the idea was to join a gym, to do classes again, and see if I can have socializing without the actual act of socializing. Do you know what I mean? When the little things also make a difference, like these little chats you have with the barista or with the cashier at the supermarket. These things are also little socializing acts that don't need investment of friendship and commitment. And since I'm not eagerly looking for new friends that don't have time to spend with me, or that you have to put in the energy of turning into friends, where the question is where to find them in the first place, that joining a club where you see people on a regular basis that you can have superficial chats with and interactions would be a form of socializing that helps against the being alone all the time, and would also get me off my couch. So I know that exercise is my go-to escapism after content consumption, so it was easy. I also think that the idea of going and joining a gym to go to classes after work instead of going home would help me with having more energy. At least that was my theory. So far, I joined a gym. I found one that I've been looking at for a while. I found actually a good time to join because they had a Halloween offer. So I'm only paying 50% for their members fee for the first 6 months, which I think is not so bad to get started. And also the hurdle to feel it is wasting money is a lot smaller. So far, my goal for November thus was to get acquainted with the studio and conquer the studio, meaning try out courses, feel comfortable going, so that going isn't always an act of overcoming anxiety. And so far, I've been doing good on the going, and I do enjoy the access to the sauna. I haven't been to a class yet. So because I know myself and I know that a fixed appointment is hard to get, I also got myself an introduction to the circuit training that they have. So there are 8 machines that you can circle through twice in 30 to 40 minutes. And I can do that anytime I have time and then go into the sauna and feel like, okay, I've done something, I've been to the gym. And that's what I've been doing quite a lot. I noticed that in the afternoon, the studio is not so crowded. So I go in the afternoon and then I'm still early on my couch and I'm still watching the same amount of Netflix. I'm just exercising more. You see my problem? I'm kind of okay with what I'm doing, but it didn't really achieve the purpose that I had in mind. So now with my vacation, I also wanted to declutter a little bit and rethink a few things. And I did a few things, but a lot of things didn't happen. And I am at this point now where I'm going back to work tomorrow. I started having intrusive work thoughts again at night, which I don't really want and I don't understand, because even though the tasks I'm doing right now are less challenging, I don't actually mind to do less challenging jobs or tasks. I don't really want to have a career. I want a place to go that I can do the things and I know what I have to do and get paid for that and pay my bills and have the life that I want to have. But there's a struggle. I don't know what kind of life I want to have, or I do know what kind of life I want to have, but it's not only up to me. And then there is this social stigma or whatever, where you constantly feel like this is not the life you should have. That is something that I noticed with the idea of reducing social media consumption or the time spent on things that other people consider or that the society considers not valuable. And that always has me going back to the different values we put on things. And let's be real, I am turning 50 next year. So maybe this is also a little bit of birthday blues early set on trying to figure out where I am, what am I doing? It's another decade gone, who knows? But I'm single, I don't have children. And don't get me wrong, there are no regrets there. If things had turned out differently, I would have been a different person right now. But I don't mind that. But what I noticed is that part of life where you want to be part of the community or be part of the things that all my friends, they're having small children or not so small children anymore, and they're having careers and they're constantly busy with life, family, and juggling a lot of things. So I don't have that. I have a lot of me time and purpose that I have to fill with myself, and I don't mind, I enjoy it, but there's this underlying feeling that there should be more. I got sidetracked. I rambled about things that I don't think I want to put in the video, but now I don't know what I mentioned or talked about last when I made sense. So let's try and close this up. As you can tell, I'm a little bit lost at the moment. I really don't know what overall content happiness I'm looking for, but I know that just sticking to my maintenance tasks, survival mode, and doing or making sure that I do things that I want to do doesn't seem to be enough. So for 2025, I really need to rethink the goal and challenges thing. Also the things I'm tracking. I am putting a lot of hope into this gym thing, even though I haven't been to a class yet. I really want to see if maybe just finding one class per week that I can go to after work would be enough. And then do the other circuit training and the sauna. I do feel good afterwards. And one thing I noticed with all the tracking is that before my September vacation, I used to do mornings and evenings activities. So some kind of movement, didn't matter what. And after my vacation, I was just exhausted and tired. I didn't go on walks after work. I barely did anything after work except crash on my couch. And I noticed that that didn't make me feel better in the long run. In the short term, I always feel good when I can lie down and watch something and eat chocolate. But in the long run, I don't think it worked. So there is something that I'm putting hope into this gym, that if I can manage to keep it going regularly, that I will feel better and maybe finally solve the energy problem that I'm having. And maybe that is one of the things I really need to tackle again next year, or anytime soon. But I'm not sure. So overall, the conclusion that I've had after this week of vacation is that I constantly have ideas and plans of what I want to do. Sticking to them and actually putting them into reality, I'm not so good at. I get distracted. And oftentimes, even if I have good ideas and I don't write them down immediately, I tend to forget what I wanted to do. So my memory isn't good at the moment. So I need to start writing down whatever I think at any time. That's not going to happen. I know that. But it might help me to get through or to the things that are still on my overall wish list of things I would like to get done in this year, and set myself up for a better 2025. I need to do that. I'm going back to work tomorrow and I'm trying to be more optimistic about it again and changing my perspective on what I do, what I expect from the others and from the situation overall, seeing if that will put more enjoyment and contentment in my overall experience of life again. And then, we'll see how things are going. I'm trying to not prioritize reading as much lately, so I have been slow reading this week on vacation. See, that's what I mean. I'm distracted. I'm not sure how to solve that, but I'm going to stop talking now. I thank you if you're still here and watched till the end. This was basically checking in, trying to see where I stand, what I'm struggling with, and maybe you got something out of it. I don't know. If not, I'm sorry I wasted your time. Let me know in comments how you're doing. Are you affected by the seasonal change? It's November. I'm always a little bit moodier in this time. So let's see how we're going on. Let me know how you're doing. Thank you all for watching, and I'll talk to you soon about books again.